Join me in welcoming the moderator of this panel, Mr. Saif Awad, Associate Development Coordinator Officer and Youth Portfolio Lead, United Nations Resident Coordinator Office in the UAE. Mr. Saif, the floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, thank you for coming, and thank you for having me as well. This is my first time here in Ajman University, and so I'm very impressed by the turnout, and thank you so much for having me here. My name is Saif Awad. I'm from the United Arab Emirates, but I'm working for the United Nations Resident Coordinator Office, which is the coordinating office responsible for achieving the SDGs here in the United Arab Emirates in cooperation with the United Arab Emirates government. So we coordinate all the different agencies here in the UAE, whether they are the UN Environment Program or UNESCO or UNFCCC. We coordinate between all of them in order to achieve the SDGs too in the UAE. I won't take much of your time. I know we have the panel right after this, so I'm just going to go through a few slides just to understand what are the SDGs quickly. So in 2015, world governments and delegates got together at the ECOSOC chamber and decided that they want to accept a number of targets that help achieve sustainable development around the world. And these sustainable development goals are basically an update of what happened before that with the Millennium Development Goals. Delegates came and they voted on these Sustainable Development Goals at the ECOSOC chamber, and it was passed without any reservations. So basically all governments agreed that these were acceptable goals. The targets being for 2030. So starting in 2015 and reaching the goals in 2030. Today we are almost halfway, and if you want to know on the progress, you can look it up actually on the ECOSOC chamber website. So these are the 17 goals. You're probably very familiar with them. You see them everywhere. You see the colors. It's very nice. It's a very nice PR program, but they are actually very important for development. And each of these individual goals target a specific area, but also they have individual targets within those goals. So when we say that we want to achieve good health and well-being, we're not just talking about, okay, in general. No. There are specific targets within these goals that are measurable and understandable. When we see Agenda 2030 mentioned anywhere, or if we see Sustainable Development Goals, or we see the Global Goals for Sustainable Development, they're talking about the same thing. But what makes the Global Goals a unique agenda? It is unique because it is a blueprint, and it is a universal agenda where it is inclusive and no one is left behind. It is fully integrated and no goal can be achieved on its own. So when we look at these goals, and we look at, for example, quality education and good health and well-being as an example. You can't achieve good health if you don't educate people to be healthy. At the same time, you can't be healthy if you don't incorporate health into the quality of education. As well as, for example, you can't focus on climate change if you're not focusing on life over land or life over water, or if you're not educating people in order to achieve targeted together. And some people, some countries will be able to achieve others better than, better than others, but they are, again, targets. So we have 17 goals, 169 targets for all of these goals, and 232 indicators. Each indicator is measurable, and they have been agreed upon by world governments. One thing to mention is that sometimes we mention that the Sustainable Development Goals are actually UN Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, it shouldn't be called UN because it's not necessarily a UN responsibility. We came together in the UN and we agreed on these goals, but it is up to ourselves, governments, our individuals. We are responsible for achieving these goals. How do we raise awareness, but also create ownership? We have to embed these SDGs within our hearts, within ourselves. A quote from Antonio Guterres: "I wouldn't be in the UN if I didn't bring a quote from our big boss." So we must rise higher to rescue the Sustainable Development Goals and stay true to our promise of a world of peace, dignity, and prosperity on a healthy planet. I won't go through these because this is a bit too technical, but I will mention this because this is important for our panel. SDG 4, as I mentioned, has 10 targets under it, a few targets, and one of them is actually target 4.7, which is to ensure that all learners acquire knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable living and sustainable environment. You notice on the other side of the screen is that we don't have global data or data in order to understand the global trends around this particular target. So it's difficult to understand whether universities and education systems are actually reporting on it, even if they are actually working on it, and whether it is something that is important to these entities and institutions. Quality education, includes all, whether it's higher education institutions or primary education. And with that, we come to our topic, which is on the importance of the SDGs, or the importance of higher education institutions in incorporating sustainable living and the SDGs in their environment. These are my contact details if you need anything from our office. Again, we are the resident coordinator office. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce our our panelists. And I will introduce them all before I ask them to come up. So to begin with, we have Dr. Ajaj, who is the Assistant Professor of Environment, Health and Safety at Abu Dhabi University and UAE Chapter Leader for Women in Renewable Energy. She serves as a cluster leader for climate change and public health at the UAE Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. Dr. Amal Hussein is a senior lecturer in the School of Art and Design at De Montfort University. Dr. Amal is the Institute Head of Research Students for Institute Architecture, where she leads on PhD supervision. And her main area of research is building the business case for sustainability within built environments. We have Mr. Samis Zorger, who is the Executive Director of Operations at the Sharjah National Oil Company. Since 2015, with over a decade of experience in the oil and gas industry, and he holds a master's degree in executive management, business administration, as a graduate of the Sharjah Leadership Program in 2017. And then last but not least, we have Dr. Ajman University, who is currently serving as the Dean of the College of Business Administration at the University of Sharjah. With a PhD in social policy and administration, she has been championing the UN Global Compact Network for Lebanon, working with leading firms for the private sector to advance sustainable development goals and the UN 2030 agenda. She has worked on various projects for the UN and World Bank, and she is author of 7 books and over 100 high-level international publications. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and please welcome the
comes to sustainability, and specifically at the academic institution, there are many things that we can do to incorporate the sustainability within the institutions. I believe the most important point is to try to incorporate the sustainability in the curriculum of the institutions. So this incorporation could by adding like the existing courses that is already exist, but choose specific topics that we need to integrate it in the courses that we're already teaching in our programs, and we integrate the topics in the courses. Another option is to make specific courses that are about sustainability, environmental issues, and integrated in the curriculum of the programs. Beside the courses, we need also to support that by having a solid research system. The research topic also need to be integrated with the needs of going toward more sustainable world. So we need to support these topics in the research. And research nowadays will not work without an effective innovation with it. So now in most of the universities here in the UAE, we have now innovation offices in the university itself. So there should be some collaboration between the college and also the innovation offices in the institution to see how they can integrate the ideas of the youth. Now the youth have a lot of, as Her Excellency said, that now the percentage of the youth and students interested in sustainability is increasing. So for example, at Abu Dhabi University, we recently did a hackathon, AI and sustainability, and I was one of the member of the jury. I was impressed with the ideas of the students, and the innovation office was so happy to integrate all the ideas that they have proposed. So innovation and research could be very helpful. Besides that, we need to integrate sustainability also in the campus activity. So we need to try to raise the awareness on how to reduce the energy consumption, how to integrate green products and activities in the campus. Adding to this partnership, academic institutions in the country should collaborate with the NGOs, government, businesses in order to integrate sustainability. So this is, in short, what I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. I appreciate that you mentioned research, developing research strategies within universities. I will ask Dr. Ajman about developing SDG strategies, but before that, I will go to Ms. Lima, Dr. Lima. And I want to understand, are SDGs taught in Sharjah, the University of Sharjah? And if yes, how are they included in the curriculum? And if not, how can they be incorporated?
To all of you, it's a real pleasure to be with you here this morning at Ajman University. Thank you for the great introduction. Currently, I think sustainability is priority for a lot of universities in the UAE, and certainly for University of Sharjah, that has made it an umbrella concern for all the colleges of the university. Speaking of the College of Business, being currently the Dean of the College of Business, I think it's a missed opportunity to graduate students that do not have real understanding and exposure to sustainability, because these are the architects of tomorrow, these are the champions of change, and we have a responsibility to expose them, to educate them, to prepare them for taking the lead on topics relating to sustainable development and sustainable innovations. At our college, we had a major strategic repositioning starting in 2020, where we made sustainability as part of the mission statement of the college. So sustainability and innovation are the two cross-cutting themes for the entire college, and they run across every program and every offering. So thinking about sustainability, it is very holistic topic, and it needs to be interdisciplinary, approached from an interdisciplinary perspective. One thing you should know that it is not the ownership of any particular college or discipline. So within the College of Business, we have sustainability as part of marketing, accounting, finance, human resources management. So we have a sustainability component that is integrated in each, and also integrated in our MBA program, EMBA program, and DBA program. So more importantly, I would say when teaching sustainability is the practice component. I'm somebody who is a scholar, very highly published and cited internationally, but I do believe in practice and in bringing experts from industry to complement what we do and to give a real flavor of how to put sustainability in action. This is a topic that needs hands-on, and this is why every year at our university, at our college specifically, we organize the youth sustainability competition in collaboration with BIA, in fact, every year. And we organize also a yearly Sustainable Development Forum where the youth winners from the youth sustainability competition present their ideas at the international forum. And we bring expert speakers from industry on a regular basis, because you don't want to graduate students with only theoretical knowledge. You want students to be able to understand how to do an environmental impact assessment, how to actually reduce their ecological footprint, what is a turbine, so how to do a policy analysis, some kind of policy analysis relating to sustainability. So the skills that you need are very practical in nature as well. So to answer in short, in summary, I think that sustainability should be core to every program, and is core to all higher education institutions should embrace sustainability as a core mandate for the future. And I salute Ajman University today for their effort with this forum, because it is definitely, we need more of these forums in order to promote sustainability and to be leading in this space. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that the university is taking a more holistic approach to different areas when trying to incorporate sustainability and SDGs in the lives of students. When it comes to research, Dr. Ahmed, what are some ways, or how can we develop SDG-focused research strategies within those universities in general? If you can give us an idea of how we can develop those research strategies.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It seems, Mr. Saif, that your mic is not very clear to me. When the other speakers were talking, I can clearly hear them. So I think the type of microphone maybe is affecting the quality.
Dr. Ahmed, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly. Thank you.
I just grabbed the handheld mic. My question was about how we can develop SDG-focused research strategies, because it's also very important that we develop research in this field, especially that
Universities are at the forefront of research in the country.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm really delighted to be here. And I think I just would like to thank the inviters who invited me for this forum, Mr. Tahir Al-Danaf and Maya Haddad for the invitation. And I really hope this kind of like a really start of collaboration and continuous conversation about the role of higher education in relation to sustainable development goals. Coming to your question about how we can develop those SDG-focused research strategies, I think the starting point is really going back to the core of the SDGs. The core of them, they are almost like a global agenda for humanities. And the second thing, which I think the the speakers have already talked about that idea of the integration between the Sustainable Development Goals. I think with research strategies, we definitely need to have that focus and theory development and knowledge development in terms of how the complexity, when we deal with all those Sustainable Development Goals in an integrated matter. In research focus, I believe we definitely need to move away from focusing on maybe one or two or three selected SDGs and try to work around them. But we definitely need to look into that kind of like knowledge-based, theory-based, how we can tackle integrated things, maybe something that come into my mind, which is about the system thinking theories and so on and so forth. So I think our research agenda, we need to kind of address that idea of complexity and how those interrelated goals can be maybe achieved, or even how we can make the understanding of them easier, because I think that's our role as educator in general. We try to break down the knowledge, we try to make it accessible, and hopefully that would lead to some actions.
Thank you, Dr. Amal. I'll move on now to Mr. Khamis al-Mazroui. And my question for him is, how can higher education institutions better prepare graduates to become responsible leaders in their respective fields and contribute to achieving the SDGs in your industry? We know that for students in every university, they're very much paying attention to where they can land jobs and where they can be effective in the spaces, even in the oil and gas industry. So how can these institutions better prepare graduates?
In terms of what we are looking for from the students, or the employees basically, or the future basically employees for us, are the main stakeholders basically, or one of the main stakeholders of our organization. So we can have resources, we can have vision, but without it, it cannot be implemented. So we want the sustainability agenda to be limited with their agenda in such a way will be pushing for us to run our operations or our vision in a sustainable way. So even if we don't have it, the students will be the driver to help us or to have the sustainability agenda. You know, this education institution are well established, or even the programs in something for the last 200 years or 300 years. Don't say about fluid dynamic or equation on that program. So it has been repeatedly basically taught in a certain way. Now, what is different? We need this sustainability agenda to be embedded in each curriculum, in such a way. What is the component of sustainability on this? So if the student in each term or maybe majority of classes they attended, sustainability was there in the evaluation of the classroom, so it will be really on their DNA. But maybe having one course or two courses, maybe it will not be enough. It will have development knowledge, but not really live the DNA. So we need really every student should believe, because simply the universities graduates or output are the driver for the whole society in the future. With the companies, government entities, and this one. So if the sustainability embedded in their DNA or mindset, you will have a sustainable society. The other thing, also in terms of projects they have, or graduation projects, we want like basically the sustainability component
challenge is to make it interdisciplinary. As I said before, sustainability does not belong to any specific college. We need the humanities, we need social sciences, we need arts and design, we need engineering, we need business, and each of them has an important input to a holistic understanding and applicability of sustainability. So this interdisciplinary spirit also needs to be there. And in many universities we see that some colleges, they want to operate in silo or claim ownership, or sustainability belongs in business. No, it belongs in engineering. It is very interdisciplinary, and the more we are able to embrace and appreciate this interdisciplinarity, the more we would be true to the spirit of sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals. We looked at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I know them inside out, by heart. Sometimes I dream about them at night. I'm so passionate about sustainability. But so if you look at the 17 SDGs, you have at the top you have the social SDGs. So you have alleviating poverty, hunger, health and well-being, improving education, quality education. You have gender equality. Then you have the economic SDGs revolving around decent work, economic growth, sustainable consumption and production, innovation and infrastructure. And then you have the environmental SDGs revolving around energy efficiency and how to protect the planet, life on land and below water, and climate action. These are the SDGs. 3 bottom lines: social, economic, environmental. So how can this very comprehensive agenda with 3 complementary dimensions be tackled by one college or be claimed by one college? So interdisciplinarity is really key, and it's something that should be encouraged in every institution. And the third challenge that I also mentioned earlier is to make it practical. We need to, there is the theory part, but it's not enough. And I think that our challenge is to abandon the textbook, bring in actual guest speakers, industry experts, practitioners, to give a practitioner flavor, to do projects and team-based learning, and to encourage students to go to industry, to go to companies, to go to BIA, to go to Shaloub Group, the champions of sustainability in this country, to learn from practice, because this is how they will really come to appreciate and to love and to be able to make a difference. I will close by saying that there is appetite for sustainability. This generation of students, of learners, I would say, 91%, according to a recent poll by Net Impact, they say 91% of students consider sustainability offerings today, that they get some sustainability offerings to be a must, as opposed to 61% maybe just 10 years back. So I think that the appetite from the students is there, and it's now for universities to deliver to that level and to be able to also meet the global expectations for an agenda that's so ambitious as the UN 2030 agenda. Let me close by saying one thing. You commented this morning that I will let you find out about progress on the UN 2030 agenda. And one thing I can tell you is that our progress is not slow, is beyond slow. We are 62 years behind schedule in relation to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. 62 years. We still have 7 years to go until 2030, yet we need 62 years to achieve the majority of these goals. And this is, in fact, the pandemic has put us has derailed our progress by at least 20 years, because the pandemic has diverted attention attention to health issues, but also how to cope. It has thrown more people into poverty. The gender equality agenda has fallen behind. So we have fallen behind on each and every SDG, particularly the equality SDGs. They have been affected. And also the ones relating to well-being, health and well-being. So really we need concerted effort, and these concerted efforts should be collaborative. It is not one player. It's not just universities. It's not just governments. It's not just UN entities. It's UN entities, governments, academic institutions, NGOs, and private sector working together, pulling together in order to really deliver and make the progress that we need to make to accelerate our progress to be maybe not 62 years behind schedule, maybe 20 years would be more acceptable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Imani. It's true, we are behind. And I think the great thing about having SDG targets and goals is that this is how we know that we are behind, and that we are slow to the progress and the goals that we want to achieve. You mentioned collaboration from different entities and universities. I want to go to Dr. Amal and ask her about this collaboration. How can higher education institutes collaborate in promoting the UN Sustainable Development Goals?
Okay, thank you. So I think I can think of three possibilities. I'll list the three possibilities and maybe I'll say a few words in each one of them. So the first possibility is around those hybrid spaces. And then the second possibility, the collaboration could be around a common challenge. And then the third possibility could be around the United Nations academic impact, which is already well established and everything. So for me, the first one, which is about those hybrid spaces, and I think this platform or this forum is really kind of like a good example of this one. When I looked at the line of the speakers, we have got from everywhere in a way. We have got academia, the United Nations, the officials, and so on and so forth. So I think broadening that, let's say those platforms, I guess those platforms used to be maybe very much academic focused or really one discipline in a way. And I definitely echo Dr. Jamali points about that interdisciplinary focus on those SDGs. So those hybrid, and I really emphasize the idea of hybrid because I think the accessibility will be broader. Before COVID, we used to do everything in person in a way, but I think having that hybrid thing will broaden our accessibility. We'll have more people coming in and based on what they can or what they can't. So those hybrid spaces, I think we definitely need to keep them, have more of them. And this where we kind of almost like create those kind of collaborations and those even conversations and knowing what's happening, for example, in UAE, that's really great, what's happening here in the UK and so on and so forth. The SDGs are really global agenda, but I think the solutions are really local. So we definitely need to focus on that as well. And the second one, which is the common challenges. And again, I think the speakers really summed things up. For example, the interdisciplinary, that's definitely a challenge, and how we can do that, how we can develop the skills and the methods around how to do this better in a way, how to move away from that isolation and so on and so forth. The innovation, maybe that's a common challenge as well. And again, those kind of like local solutions, what we can get from that local knowledge, from the contextualized understanding and the practicality as well. And then the final one, which is the United Nations academic impact. And I think this is really great initiative when it comes to having, let's say, a very well structured and well framework for how universities are engaging with the United Nations and with the Sustainable Development Goals. For example, when I look at my current institution, De Montfort University, we are the only, let me get it right just to make sure that I'm not quoting anything wrong. So we are the only university in Britain, it's the only higher education institute in Britain to be a global hub for one of the Sustainable Development Goals. So at DMU, we are the global hub for the SDG number 16, which is to promote peace, justice, and strong institutions. And I think those academic impact or those educational hubs are really great, because let's say, although they are, when they have been selected, each one is just focusing on one sustainable development goals to promote it, to do their research and teaching and service around that, to be able to do reporting around that as well, to be able to spread the knowledge and understanding and so on and so forth. But I think it actually works as a platform for that joint collaboration. Let's say when we log into the United Nations academic impact, and then we look at each one of those global hubs, and then we can say, okay, maybe if I need that understanding or better understanding of this goal, maybe this is very much let's say relevant to me, then we can reach out to that place, we can see what are the best practices they have been doing, and we can bring that collaboration together. So I think, yeah, those are my kind of 3 possibilities when it comes to the collaboration.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those inputs. Dr. Rahaf, we heard that we require the support of everyone and all the demographics, collaboration with different partners in the country. SDG 5, this is a bit of a pivot, but SDG 5 is on women's equality and gender equality. We also heard that it is slowed down over the last few years. You are leading on the UAE chapter for women in renewable energy. What has been your experience with that, and how important is it for women to be part of this space?
So thank you very much for this question, and thanks for mentioning WIRE in this important event. So Women in
Renewable Energy is a non-profit organization in Canada. Now they have different chapters all over the world. They have started their chapter in the UAE last year in May. I'm leading now the chapter here in the UAE, and one of the most important objects of our chapter here is SDG 5. Now, why it's important? Because the objective of WIRE is to empower women and girls, specifically in renewable energy. Now, because we believe that this will contribute to toward the successful of all the SDGs together, and specifically the SDG 5, which is the gender equality. Because we believe that gender equality, diversity, and also inclusivity is something very crucial and is critically important. Because we know that as per the statistics, women and girls in STEM is underrepresented. So that's why we need to involve women and girls more in renewable energy specifically, and in STEM in general. Because this have many positive consequences. So if we, like for example, think about the economical development, for sure when you involve more women in the renewable energy industry and sector, which is a very growing sector at the moment, so involving them, this will empower the economic development, because the equality would be it's like opportunity will be for everyone. So the poverty in women sector specifically will reduce. This is one thing. Adding to this, the well-being. This for sure will enhance the social well-being when we have the involvements of women in these specific sectors. Adding to this, other such as having diverse perspectives to the field. So when we have women in the field of in renewable energy, we'll have like more ideas, more innovation in this sector, which will make it more advanced and will make more opportunities for everyone. So adding to all these things, when we include all the gender equality and diversity, we can ensure the opportunities for everyone. So that's why I believe this can support SDG 5 and all the other SDGs in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Now we're about to go into audience questions. I'd like to go back to Mr. Khamis on some of the actions needed from education institutes to drive the net zero vision for 2050 on the climate action agenda for the SDGs. Mr. Khamis.
I see the research is very important to speak on that. And in terms of the research, I think the university should focus on two directions. One direction is basically doing research case studies for regional or local, basically how we can decarbonize the economy and what are the opportunities. For example, Ajman University looking for decarbonizing, what is the impact of decarbonizing Ajman economy, how it can be done, what are the opportunities in terms of basically renewable energy, waste to energy, and so on. And so forth for other universities. Also, this region is looking to research in terms of regional opportunities for net zero for this region. One of the big aspects also on the decarbonization or net zero is carbon capture and carbon capture basically and storage. This region has been basically producing oil and gas for very long time, so they've drained and they have empty spaces. So now, while transitioning to the cleaner fuel, we will continue using some of the fossil fuel. So to decarbonize the environment, we need to capture this one underneath. So maybe the universities needs to have a role on basically doing research. What is the potential for UAE? What is the potential for Middle East to basically doing this transitional stage or recapturing the emissions. So basically focus on what is the region can do and what's the local and present these cases for the basically decision makers and entities, whether profitable or non-profitable, so that the economy, the society will grab these opportunities and implement them.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those inputs and for giving us an idea on the ways to drive net zero. If we have time, I don't know if maybe one of the organizers can tell us. We don't have time? Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions. So I'll just end it with this. Thank you so much to our panelists. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for being with us online.
Thank you.